welcome to the Gump Report. You never know what you're going to get. Normally this is being done on Monday or Tuesday, but this is like afternoon of Wednesday. I'm a little thrown off due to the fact that I had to understand, I did last week, I did my regular Dynamite, Impact, I skipped Rampage and did multiverse of matches. Then I did WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2, Saturday and Sunday. Then I did Supercard Sunday. In between that, trying to get some work done, which I haven't been able to get anything done properly for my animation. My neck and back's been messing with me. So I've been off. Along with, not gonna lie, been a bit depressed. It's not dangerous depression, but it has been a little bit of depression. When you get a lot on your back, it frustrates you. If you really want to do a lot of stuff, and then you're in pain on top of it, and then you feel like you're being rushed, it gets you a little bit. So my PSA, public service announcement, try hard to calm yourself and take a step back. It ain't easy. Right now, I'm playing Mind Test. If you don't know what that is, that's an open source version of Minecraft. You don't got to pay for Minecraft. It's not perfect. It don't work perfectly, but I am playing it. And it has a lot of the features that Minecraft has. So I've been playing that to try and relax and calm myself down a little bit. But you're not here for that. You're here for my thoughts on this free-for-all of the Gump Report. We're going to be talking a little bit about Roman Reigns and his tricep injury. We're going to talk a little bit mainly about Cody Rhodes, and not only the dark match he did with Kevin Owens, which I might leave a link below, along with his basically his interview after WrestleMania, but my thoughts about it and about the ratings of Raw. I should go through that as well. Let's do the Raw ratings first. The Raw ratings for Monday was the highest ratings they've seen in a long time. It went up to over, I think, nearly 2 million. Or maybe 2.1 million people watching. And everyone is saying, this is incredible, this is great, this is wonderful. You see, Raw is getting better. You're a fool. Sorry if that was a little loud. You're a fool. You want to know why? Nearly 7 years ago, we were having the same conversation. 7 years ago, guys. Where everyone was worried about Raw when it was going what? 4 million people, and it jumped up to 4.5, and everyone said Raw was getting better, and it dropped under 4 within the first 2 months. Everyone thinks this is an amazing thing that it's gone up to 2. Guys, nearly 10 years ago, Raw was doing, 10 years ago, 2012, they were getting near 5 million people watching. They barely broke 2.1 million. If you actually think that Raw's gotten better because they broke 2.1, look 10 years ago and they were having almost 5 million people watching. Now it's 2 million. Raw is not getting better. Back then, the writing sucked. Here, the writing sucked. But here's the kicker. There are more people at home streaming than they were 10 years ago because streaming services were still in its infancy at that time. Infancy. It was still early for Netflix and anyone else like Netflix, OpenBox, if they were streaming. So you see now, Raw getting 2.1 million people watching means absolutely goose egg. Nothing. If you actually think it's better. If anyone is saying that AEW is done because Raw is on the rise and they're in decline, guys, we have not made new fans, no matter what company you like. I personally don't care. I only care about who creates the best pro wrestling show. That's me. I stopped watching WWE because they weren't producing a pro wrestling show. They're not. They have pro wrestling on it, but it's more about, there's something on my shirt. There's more about entertaining the masses than entertaining pro wrestling fans. It's the reason why a lot of pro wrestling fans don't watch the product, and basically casual fans do. And even though they're getting great amount of money, they're not getting great amount of fans that actually care about the company and do huge amounts of purchases. Remember, they're making huge amounts of money, but they can make 10 times that if the pro wrestling hardcore fan was pleased, and they give them a reason to buy 3 times the amount of stuff they're getting now. Have you ever wondered why pro wrestling almost 40 years ago was super popular? It wasn't just because they were giving us great matches and great storylines. It was because when they were giving great matches and storylines, the fans who were pro wrestling fans were buying huge amounts of merch. Huge. Now, what do you think WWE is doing? They're getting huge amounts of money from networks, somewhere in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and streaming services. Do you actually think they're getting a huge chunk of money from their merchandise? Their merchandise is probably a fourth of what they get. Yeah, they get a huge amount of money from merchandise. 20, 30, maybe $1 million a year. $20 million, maybe 30. How much money do you think they get from the streaming service of Peacock? $500 million. So that's $500 million. And that's if it's about $500 million. Because it could be more than that. It could be about, what, 700 million? 500 million? Because, remember, Fox is giving them $1 billion. You get nearly $1 billion coming, well, $1 billion combined coming from not Fox, but USA, along with Saudi Arabia. And Peacock, that's a part of it, is also giving them something. So they're getting $2.5 million. No, billion. Sorry, not million. $1 billion. Remember, guys, merch isn't the biggest thing for WWE. Even though they're making good money, maybe $20, $30 million a year from their merchandise, is nothing compared to the streaming of $100 to $200 million a year. Do you get what I'm saying? So 2.5 million people watched Raw. What does that actually mean? If they made 3 million people, I would say, you know what? That's a good number. But 2.5 compared to what they do on SmackDown, which is 1.8, that's just slightly better than SmackDown doing 1.8. So remember that. Raw doesn't mean a damn thing, because I did see some of Raw on Monday. Other than Roman Reigns showing up and Cody, it didn't matter. Nothing there made sense. Look, I didn't even watch Stand and Deliver with Braun Breaker versus Dolph Ziggler kept the title and what is it? Stand Up and Deliver. Now on Raw, Braun Breaker drops it. So what was that about? Stand and Deliver, where Dolph was allowed to keep it, and now that Monday, he had to drop it. That made no sense. And I heard what happened in NXT 2.0 last night. The crowd was pissed. They'd rather see Dolph Ziggler than Braun Breaker. What the fuck is that? Braun Breaker is the star they've been trying to build. They made Tommaso Ciampa look like shit during this last shot when he was supposed to keep the title and when he dropped it. They made NXT look like crap when they kicked down the X when Braun Breaker did what he was told to do. So now, look at the ratings. The ratings are like this. Do not believe anything you see. If you do, you're silly. You're dumb. Raw is not on the up. It's nothing. I'm just saying. Now, let's do a little bit about Roman Reigns. I did watch the promo from Roman Reigns. How he barely was able to lift both titles. He has possibly some damage to his tricep. We found out later in the night that after he worked with Brock Lesnar, he had a big goose egg right here on his left arm. It was big, and he thought, and you could hear him say during WrestleMania Night 2, that it's out. He's literally telling Paul Heyman with the camera right in his face, my arm is out, it's out, it's out, and you can hear pretty much Paulie telling him, you got to get up. He's still in character, but you can see the mark on his arm was like this far up from his skin, literally. It was like a huge lump. He managed to finish the match, and they quickly ended it. They did not take their time. He had to end it immediately. Someone, probably the guy who was running the camera, told the people in the back, hey, I think he's injured. We got to end it. So they told the ref to end it as quickly as possible to save Roman's arm. So it looks like he didn't tear it, but that tricep was bad. He tried to hold up both titles, and he could barely do it with his left arm. He was doing like this. You could see him squinting, straightening his arm and wrist. He was still in character, still needed to do what he had to do, but it was bad. So, does this mean a Roman Reigns is out of commission? Don't know. He might be fine. He might have just badly bruised it somehow. And when he was in the Kimura, as a Brock Lesnar was tweaking it, made it worse. We don't know. Hopefully he didn't tear anything, but we do not know the full extent of the damage to a Roman Reigns. But they better hope it's not something he's out of work, because they got no backup. Brock was their only backup, and now Brock dropped it to Roman, who is now the unified WWE Unified Champion, the Universal Champion. So what does that happen? If Roman needs to have surgery or have to be out for 2 to 4 months, what does that mean? They're fucked on SmackDown and Raw, because you just unified the damn titles, and there is no contender for Roman Reigns other than Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes. It can't be Drew McIntyre. He's been badly built now. It can't be Lashley. He looks like garbage compared to what was going on with Omos. Who do you got? What, Seth Rollins? He's going to be dealing with Cody Rhodes. And that's if they're crazy enough to put it on him. Who cares? I'm just saying. Done. Now, let's talk about Cody. I saw the promo for Cody. And I also saw the interview afterward. I may connect the interview after that, along with where it was just Alex who got mad that someone told him on the stream, because I saw the stream that he did on Monday, that someone told him that Cody was in a dark match with Kevin Owens, and he got so mad, he told his moderators to kick that person out, because I don't want to hear that. He made it very clear, because that guy that mentioned it was pretty much messing with him, but he wasn't lying, because I saw the footage of someone's camera showing a freaking dark match for a Cody Rhodes and a Kevin freaking Owens, where he shook the hands of Kevin Owens, he hugged Kevin Owens, and then they did a match in front of some people. A freaking dark match for Cody Rhodes. Now you know where they're going to go with Cody Rhodes. You actually believe he's safe. Unless he asked for it. This is what the WWE is going to do with him. They threw Cody Rhodes, who just came in WrestleMania, on a freaking dark match. So, was his promo on Raw good? Yes, it was. Talking about his father, finding out that his father was a champion, because back in 77, when I was 6, he had an opportunity. I don't know who he went up against to try and get the title. It could have been either Bob Backlund. I don't know if it was Superstar Jimmy Graham. It could have been Bruno Sammartino. I don't know who. But whoever he went up against, he could not claim the title because it was by count out he won. So supposedly by storyline, he couldn't get it. That's what his father told him, and at the age of 8, he decided he wanted to get that title for his dad. But he can't do it now because his dad's gone, but it doesn't mean he can't wear it around his waist. So he made it a goal to get that damn title. Now Seth did come out, they looked at each other, shook hands, and then Seth walked away. I mean, well, you saw how it was. Seth he shook Seth's hand because he put his hand out, they shook hands, then Seth left. Fine, that means there will be a feud between the two. So, that was a good promo. But here's what gets interesting. When you see the interview after WrestleMania, you see reasons why he left AEW. Let's put this in perspective. I know people think he's a traitor to AEW. I know people are happy as hell that AEW lost a vice president and they'll go under because he's not there. I know one of the people that leave comments can't stand AEW, and I'm sure he or she is happy, because it could be he or she, is happy that AEW lost a vice president and they will be going under because he fucking or she fucking hates AEW. That's just how it is. I think they're foolish, but they're going to say whatever the hell they want because they just don't know. But let's go by the numbers of this situation. What did we get in the interview that Cody did after WrestleMania? We got him explaining simply that, and I think it's more PR than anything else, a little PR for AEW and a little PR for WWE. let's be honest here. He's a good politicker. He literally put himself in a great position to be marketable. Let's understand this. This is Cody Rhodes, who is no different than any pro wrestler that exists. They want to wrestle because they love the business. They want to make money in the business that they love. They want to be recognized for what they do in the business. And in the end, no matter what you believe and what you like or dislike about them, they're going to do whatever it takes to take care of themselves and their family, and the fans be damned, because they got to care for themselves, their family, and whatever legacy they created. That's it. It makes no difference if you think Cody's a traitor or not, or you think he's a patriot to the WWE. He's going to do whatever it takes to make money, to protect his family. He even said during the interview, just like his own daughter, when he was a kid and he became like his dad, his dad had to think about taking care of him and his brother. He's doing the same thing for his daughter and his dogs, because he does have dogs. He still loves them like children. The point is, he's going to do whatever it takes. He made it very clear that he loves AEW and Tony Khan and everybody else. He didn't say that there's a falling out between him, the Bucks, and Kenny Omega. He ain't going there. He isn't going to make it worse between them. He's going to say, I love them. They were my friends. I loved them, but I needed to move on. I needed to be more, and I wanted to market myself more. And he also said when he was in WWE, he was like a child. He was like a spoiled child in most cases, that he now came back as a man. That's also politicking. That's also trying to make things nice. Because no matter what you say, he says he was a man. Bullshit. Bullshit. He knew what he was doing in WWE. He knew 100% to do whatever he could to get up to the top. But he knew he was never going to get there, because as Vince saw him, he wasn't like Dustin. He wasn't like his dad, Dusty, who managed to politic himself into WWE and became very famous there. He just didn't have the clout. That's the reason why he left in the first place. He got sick and tired of being stuck here. He wasn't stuck here because he was childish and a spoiled brat. Vince made that choice to keep him here. No matter what Dusty told Vince, Vince is going to think of whatever Vince thinks. And if he sees you here, you're going to stay there no matter what Vince says. Until you say enough, not to resign, you leave, go somewhere else, come back really popular, and Vince will look and you say, oh, maybe I might be able to use this guy and make some good money for my company and myself. And I'll take him like, sorry about that, my alarm went off. That was actually the alarm to remind me to do the Gump report. I forgot to turn it off. But the point is, Vince will only care about you if it will make his company money and himself. Remember, Vince is no longer a private company. It's a shareholder company. He's going to make that scratch for his shareholders. He's going to make that scratch for himself. And if you, as a pro wrestler, can give him something for merch, for buys at arenas, he don't care. If you look like this when you're in the company and you go away, but then you come back and you look like this, he's going to use you. He's going to use you until the wheels fall off, and then either you're going to fall here or you're going to leave. That's the way he works. So when it comes to Cody, he's done everything he could to make himself marketable, particularly helping us start a new company. Whether we think Vince hates AEW or not is irrelevant. Cody marketed himself so well that not only did he do well as a pro wrestler, going everywhere, going to New Japan Pro Wrestling, he went to Impact Wrestling, he went to NWA, he went to MLW, he worked in AEW and started it. So he's done everything he could to market himself to be useful to the industry. Once he became a vice president, here is where he was compared to here. It wasn't just all the different places he went to and became recognized by becoming a vice president of another company. He brought his stock up to here. Now Vince is going to look at him differently, at least counting on how the contract is written. He said he's got a multi-year contract. What does that mean? How many years is that? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. A multi-year contract actually could be a year and a half contract, 18 months. It could be a full 2 years or maybe a 3 years. It could be a part-time 2 or 3 year contract or 5 years depending on what he decided to sign. Could it be he got $2 million a year, $3 million a year, $5 million a year? Who knows? He made the choice to get whatever he could from this contract, and I'm sure he tried to write into the contract some creative level of control, because Vince will throw him back into Stardust if he could. Vince will make him dashing Cody Rhodes if he could. This is the creative control he probably has. Some level, not all control, but must have some level of creative control. I'm sure he did, because he's not stupid. He's got maybe $5 million a year, maybe 7. Who knows? He probably has something that's written in so Brandy can come back to be his manager or to work somewhere, maybe. It counts on how the contract's written. So Cody got exactly what he wanted. Now, how do the fans feel? Many feel betrayed. Others are just laughing their asses off saying, you see, AEW's nothing but shit. You get what you deserve. Cody is one of us. Hooray. And then others are saying, fuck you, Cody Rhodes. We hate your guts. Why did you abandon something you created? Why didn't you make Tony Khan and the Bucks along with Kenny Omega feel like shit? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. There you go. That's the British one. In the end, both sides are angry. Both sides just can't stand it, or both sides are very happy. Maybe some people say, I'm freaking happy he ain't there because he was just taking the air in the room. I'm freaking happy he's in WWE now because now it's a fresh start. As I said when this all came out, I'd rather not say anything because I didn't know what the landscape was. I said that we don't know where he's going. If he's even going, he may even just do a one-off in WWE. You never know. I'd rather not play into it. Everyone else is. Is it a work? Because there was heavy conspiracy that this could have been a work. Not until it was finally found out it was a shoot that people finally had to deal with it. Either they can't stand Cody Rhodes, or they're so freaking happy he came back and that could destroy AEW. They're perfectly happy. For me personally, I don't care. I don't care if he fucked over AEW, and I don't care if he gets fucked in WWE, which he probably will be fucked. Let's be honest. They'll give him what generally his contract allowed for. Some creative freedom, probably. He'll probably be there between 2 to 5 years, maybe. He might be there only 2 years. He may only ask for 24 months. You never know. You never know what type of amount of creative control he's going to have. Will he do constant work in WWE? About to say AEW. You don't know what's going to happen. He may do constant work in WWE. He may do part-time work. He may only do a year, even though he might have lied about it. He might only do 1 year. Maybe he'll do 2. Maybe he'll do 5. It don't matter. Whatever it is whatever it is. It counts on what WWE is going to do with him next to what he negotiated in his contract. So there's a good chance he will go after the title. There's a good chance he'll get the title. There's a good chance he'll be in some high-profile matches. And there's a good possibility he'll go from here, where he is now, go up to here for a while, and then there's a good chance that will happen, which will please the people from AEW because that's what he gets. It'll make some people in WWE, the fans there, really pissed that it went down that way. And people like myself are going to say, doesn't matter. It counts on what content we get as pro wrestling fans. Guys, WWE is catered to casual fans. It's not catered to hardcore anymore. This is what many people don't understand. Cody Rhodes will bring some of the hardcore fans back because counting on how they write this from his contract, you're going to get certain content for maybe a year, 6 months to a year. You're going to get totally different type of content, I think. It could be less than that. It could be 3 months that will have something completely different with Cody, and the rest of the year is going to be shit. Or we may get 6 months to a year of Cody being in the main title scene, and eventually he'll drop off like a stone. There's a good chance you get that too. But no matter what, counting if you care about the WWE product, that's when it's going to make a difference. And this is what not many people are understanding. Like JD, he is skeptical, but he's more than happy to see Cody there because he said it himself in multiple streams. AEW does not need Cody. WWE needs Cody. When it comes to just Alex, he thinks this is going to be great. When it comes down to it, guys, both of them are wrong and both are right. Flat out. For many people, this will be great. This will bring back people who've been wanting something different from WWE, and it will be a change for a couple of months to maybe half the year. But what are you really getting from WWE? That's going to be different. One person. One. This is what you don't get. What I forgot to talk about in my part 2 of WrestleMania. What I forgot to say was this. WrestleMania 38 only mattered because of one general thing. Older talent. Flat out was what made this work. Yes, Cody came in, which made things, it means something, but he had been gone from the company for 6 straight freaking years. What made the company have a good show? Was it Drew McIntyre? No. When it came to the women, what made the show great? Was it because of the women there? No. None of the women mattered, and they should have mattered. None of them mattered. What made the show interesting? It was Edge and AJ Styles. It was from outside 2 matches with 2 celebrities. You had clearly Brock Lesnar, who is an old talent who comes and goes when he's in the mood. Edge, who's part-time, who comes and goes when he's in the mood. You got Cody Rhodes, who came back after 6 years, who's been working at AEW and then took off for about a month or so. Tell me, Steve Austin came back after almost 20 years. This was all about people who are either part-time or who finally came back after nearly 20 years, or in this case, 6 years. None of the main talent on the show mattered. The Usos don't matter. Rick Boobs blew out his knee. He blew out his knee. No, not his knee, his quad. His quad is blown out, messed up. Literally, who cares? John McAfee on night 2, who's a commentator, made more interest than almost anyone there other than Undertaker, who is now retired, who came in from the Hall of Fame, that did the most cheers and most interest. So you had Undertaker coming back to just say goodbye. Triple H came back to put his boots in the middle of the ring, and the night 2, you got Edge and AJ, who are old talent there. AJ, who's still wrestling constantly, but then Edge, who's only doing part-time. You had pretty much Kevin Owens, the night before that, working with a 20-year-old older Stone Cold Steve Austin, who hasn't wrestled in 20 years. This was all about from people from the outside. No one mattered. They didn't even have the U.S. or IC title. U.S. is Ricochet. IC is Finn Balor. I found out. Neither one of them was on the freaking show. Braun Breaker having a match with Dolph Ziggler on Stand and Deliver should have been on WrestleMania along with calm down. You should have had the NXT title on WrestleMania. You should have had the IC title on WrestleMania. You should have had the US title on WrestleMania. You had none of them. 0. You had the women's titles on WrestleMania. You had the tag women's titles on WrestleMania. You had both men's titles on WrestleMania. You did the unification match on WrestleMania. You brought in Stone Cold Steve Austin, Johnny Knoxville, Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes, and who else was from the outside? That's all the show had. And if you actually believe that having Cody there is going to give you something different, going back to Cody Rhodes, no. You get a couple of months of new content. And in the end, unless his contract makes it very specific that he stays in the main title scene or the main event a lot, he's going to be here, now here, going up to here. He will be here with the main event for a while, depending on how long, and then he'll drop like a stone. This isn't because I hate him. This isn't because I like him. It's because of how the dealings of WWE is. You will find out for yourself that WWE does not care. They are going to do whatever they can to make money for the casual fan. That's where they're making the money from. They don't care about hardcore fans. They don't care about decent wrestling fans. They care about the casual fans who just want something to look at and be willing to watch their stuff on streaming, to buy their merch to a certain extent. That's it. This is what this really means with Cody Rhodes. You'll get something new from Cody for maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe. He'll be at the main event. He'll work with Roman Reigns. I don't know who else he's going to work with. Seth Rollins, obviously. I doubt he's going to work with Drew. He can't work with Triple H because he's retired because of his heart. It's just not going to happen. There's no one left other than really jobbers. AJ Styles he'll work with, obviously. And he's worked with him on the independent scene before he went to WWE. I'm sure he did at least one match with him. He may work with Finn Balor, maybe. What does that mean? He's going to go to the IC title after the main title? He's going to go to the US title after the main? You think he's going to work with Ricochet? What are you going to get? You're going to get nothing after a while. But this is just my point of view, and I hope you enjoyed this Gump report. Please give me a comment below. I will be doing my Dynamite review later. Oh, I've been exercising my demon. I hope you enjoy this. Peace.